always finish each other's sentences.
No, we don't. Hi, welcome back to our channel, and today we're going to be speaking about pregnancy, childbirth, and everything in between.
Yeah, I'm Joe.
And I'm Ashanta.
It's always a good place to start by saying your name in case somebody's watching for the first time. But yeah, I guess let's get straight into it. Like, what was it like finding out you was pregnant? Because our journey is very, very different. Let's call this the journey to Michael.
The journey to Michael.
So what was it like when you found out you was pregnant?
Okay, so I found out I was pregnant on the 13th of May. So let's just start from the morning. So, you know, commuting to work, it was any other day, it was sunny, the day was lovely, and I went to work. At about 11 o'clock, I had a lot of WhatsApp messages, missed calls from family members, and I was thinking, what's going on? So I went to the toilet, and I eventually found out that my dad had collapsed. My dad was abroad, so yeah, it was a very worrying time. In the end, my managers could tell something was wrong with me, so we called Joseph, he came and picked me up, and then we was leaving to be with family just to kind of establish what was going on and get more of the story. As we were making our way to the train station, my brother called Joseph, and I was thinking, why is he calling him? Why wouldn't he call me? And then I started to worry, like, what is going on? The phone was quite loud. Joseph was panicking, and he's like, what happened? What happened? Lo and behold, my dad has died. I collapsed. I was in so much pain, and we just called an Uber and just made our way to my sister's house as quick as we possibly could, so we could all be together and just establish like what exactly happened. So we've gone to family's house, people have come over, the news is spreading, people offering their condolences, etc, etc. The night passes, and then we're at my sister's house, and then Joseph has bought me a pregnancy test by this point, because prior to this, that week I was having really bad stomach pains. I didn't really have an appetite. I just felt a bit off, and I asked him for a pregnancy test, but because we had taken one, I think maybe 2 months prior to that, he was like, oh, here we go, every little niggle when she thinks she's pregnant. And to top things off, we was in the stage where we were just trying to be really healthy, so we were doing like sit-ups and exercise, and I didn't want to do the exercise. I was telling him, look, I'm in so much pain, and he thought, here we go, another excuse. So he'd be like, come on, just do it, you little fatty, just do this sit-up. And I was like, it hurts. Anyway, cut a long story short,
I did no such thing.
Back to the 13th of May, back from family's house, etc. I take the pregnancy test, I'm pregnant. So I find out my dad has died in the morning, I find out I'm pregnant in the evening, and it was the worst but happiest day of my life. It was really weird, and I just remember crying, because it's like my mum was there, my sister was there, my husband was there. I called my brother and he's ecstatic, but the other person I wanted to tell was my dad. And not that
why
why, because I'm the youngest of 6 children. All of my brothers and sisters have children bar one, and he was really, he used to put a lot of pressure on me to have children. And a long time ago I used to say, I'm not going to have children, I hate children. I even asked Joseph to get a vasectomy when we were dating. I even was researching if I could take my womb out. Like I just didn't want children. So I had seen him in April the previous month, and I told him, look, I'm thinking about having children, I've changed my mind. And he was so happy, he was so overwhelmed, you know, he was so proud. I could see in his face that he was like, finally. And yeah, it happened, and I couldn't tell him, so that just made me feel, I don't know, I felt really painful, I felt really bad.
Yeah, it was definitely a really difficult day. It was difficult because, you know, everyone was grieving, because we can't forget that 18 months prior to this, her brother died as well. So we had just got to the point where we felt like we was coming out of real grief and like moving forward with life. And here we are right back into the thick of grief, and we've been given news now, or we find out that we're pregnant. And at the time for me it was weird, because I didn't feel excited like a lot of people say, like they feel instantly motivated and ready to take on the world, because it was so complex. I almost felt like I was in an abyss. I felt like nothingness.
Like a negative and a positive just cancel each other out.
Yeah, and I was just floating. It was weird. I remember just spacing out for a little bit because I just couldn't process the information all because of what was happening. And then my next thought was, I really hope that the family don't use this as a coping mechanism, because it's still very early on. And as you know, like, you know, anything can happen. And I don't wish that to happen, but that's part of life. That's part of the journey sometimes. And I'm prepared to deal with things like that, but I'm not prepared to kind of see her family, my family go through a thing where, you know, we're using this as our coping mechanism for losing dad, and this is it. This is the greatest thing in the world, and that's put a lot of pressure on me, because I didn't want to be the dampener of that shine. Like, hey guys, can you like tone it down a little bit, because, you know, we still need to get past some really key milestones in this journey before we should really start celebrating.
And we didn't know how far along I was.
Yeah.
And with pregnancy, it's such a fragile thing. Anything can happen. So
Yeah.
it's like, you don't want to get too excited until like maybe 6 months, and we wanted to keep it between ourselves, we wanted to keep it a secret. So it was just, it was very overwhelming.
Yeah, it was tough. And then like what made it more, it was just hard. I couldn't process the information properly, basically. All I was focused on making sure that she's okay and the family's okay, and that I was doing everything in my power to make sure that she was ready to deal with this emotionally, because I saw the kind of toll losing her brother took on her for a little period, and how hard she took that. And, you know, that took a lot of work to kind of get you to a space where you was like really emotionally strong to handle the new normal after that. So to go back into a space where, hey, you're losing your dad now, it was like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that she's okay. So I guess I didn't really grieve at the time properly. I was more focused on making sure that you was okay. And plus we was coming up to a really big birthday of hers as well. So it's like everything was just up in the air. She was turning 25. We had a trip planned to go to Portugal.
I wanted to have like a big family dinner. When I saw my dad, he was like, I'm going to come back to the UK for your 25th birthday. He normally comes back in July, but he was like, I'll come back for June. And I was just so excited, quarter of a century. Me and my family, we love to celebrate milestones, so like birthdays, any excuse for a celebration. We like a celebration, so I was really looking forward to it. I was really looking forward to it, and it just felt it just felt like neither here.
Yeah, neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there.
We're still teaching her how to use her words. She's getting it.
And to make things worse, my birthday fell on Father's Day. So when we was in Portugal, I felt like such a Debbie Downer, because I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to just stay in bed, and he was like, I'm not having any of that. We went to a lovely restaurant, it was really nice, but I don't know, I guess the one call I was waiting for, I wasn't going to get, and then I was okay with that by then. Yeah,
it was tough. It was tough. So then we get back from Portugal, and then we start coming to that acceptance period where this is going to be our new normal, and this is going to be our new, I guess, life, right? And so we, I guess, started planning and preparing for that. We had his funeral.
We had my dad's funeral, and because he's not a religious man, we didn't have it in the church, so we had it in like a hall, in the town hall. It was really nice. But then Joseph had to hold it, because it's like, we're not gonna have a pastor, how do you do these things when people aren't religious? And for me, it was just so weird, because it's like, you have to deal with losing your father-in-law, then you've got to deal with the fact that I'm pregnant and you don't want me to be stressed and put stress on the baby. Then he has to hold and orchestrate this whole funeral and make sure things go to plan. And I just think it was just all...
Yeah, it was a lot, but it was that's sometimes the challenge of life, isn't it? We have to kind of go through those things, and I'll do it again, hopefully I don't have to, but I'd always do it for you guys. And so we had to do that, and then we had the scan to try and find out what gender we're having. She was like, I don't want to know. I was like,
I didn't want to know.
I'm gonna find out. That's on you. I was like, I need to know.
You're not gonna know without me knowing, so I'm gonna know too then.
Yeah, because she's a child. Anyway, we get to the scan. We we have it, and we find out the sex of the baby, and it happened to be a boy. And that's when we thought, rah, I had a real stoic moment where it was like one in, one out. Like, this is life. This is, the circle of life. Nah, it's gone, yeah, I'm a busy, all of that language. What? Nah.
No.
Whatever. Anyways, it felt like, that whole renewal of life, and it was surreal to know that we was having a son as well. And on my side of the family, there's 5 grandkids, 6 now, but at the time there was 5, and all of my sisters had kids, so this was going to be the first boy that's gonna keep the name, unless of course the girls turn around and say, I'm a strong woman and I'm keeping my name, which, you know what, do you, boo-boo? If that's what you want to do, I'll support you all the way, but that's going to carry my name. But ultimately, it became real.
It was a big deal.
It was real. That was a moment where it's like, yeah, it's happening now. So time's passing, and then I remember like some months after that, she was still going to work, and because she's slim, people bumping into her. Everyone and all of that stuff.
You around,
not knowing she's pregnant, and then she turns around, and then it's just like belly comes.
I'm so sorry, do you want to sit down? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like loads of little stories in between. So then the next thing I had to handle was her hormones. Oh my God. That no one can prepare you. Let me tell you this, no one can prepare you for hormones. Sex education didn't do a good enough job of telling us what it is actually like dealing with these, because let me tell you, she just used to randomly burst out crying for things that she shouldn't even be crying for, right? So we are in an airport, we went on a family holiday, everyone's in high spirits, and, we get, to the airport on the way back, and everything's cool. My cousin's like, hey, I'm having a baby, a second baby, and I've got a buggy. It's near enough brand new, but like, because I'm having a second baby, like, do you want it? And I'm thinking, hey, I'll show her, because I know there was one that she wanted, or that we were looking for some, and I was just like, yeah, I can show her. We might be able to save ourselves 400 or 500 quid here. By the way, my brother sent me a Range Rover buggy, and I was thinking, at the time, I had a smart car. I was like, doesn't really make sense, bro. Do they have any smart car models? Because I don't think I've got Range Rover buggy money right now. Can I get it on lease? Like, how does it work? But anyway, that's besides the point. I show her the buggy that my cousin suggested, and it was just a suggestion. No commitment was expected. I was like, what do you think of this, Ashanta? Like, just think about it. Have a look. What do you think? She scrolls through, and then she looks at me, and she starts going, but I want to buy my own buggy. I'm not even exaggerating. That's exactly what she sounded like as well. In the airport. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because that was the first time I was dealing with it. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So she starts crying. Then her mum sees. What does her mum do? What's wrong? What's happened? Like, I look like I've done something now. So I'm like, oh no, it's all right. It's all right. She's like, what do you mean it's all right? She's crying. I'm like, no, it's hormones. It's hormones. I'm whispering, going, it's hormones. Like doing like the most British thing ever. It's hormones. Tapping her head like this. It's hormones. Like, it's fine. But and then her brother's coming. He's like, what's wrong? And she's like, I just don't want the buggy. And he's showing me the buggy. And we're trying to. And I was just thinking, oh my God, why are we?
Let me explain myself. So someone had already told me, Ashanta, choose what buggy you want and I will buy it for you.
Yes.
So I was looking at, different colour schemes, different buggies that I wanted. And when you have your first child, I'm sure there's plenty of mothers, when they have their first child, you want everything new for your child. You want a new buggy, you want a new cot, you want new clothes. You don't want any hand-me-downs. When I have my second child, they can have Michael's goods. Like, I'm not going to buy new things. Yeah. But for my first one, I've never had a child before. This is an exciting experience. You want to choose the buggy. You want to choose the little booties. You want to do all of these things. So I don't think I was being unreasonable.
Ain't nobody disagreeing with her. Ain't nobody arguing that fact. But the very simple fact was, I just said, think about it. And she just burst out crying.
And I thought about it. I didn't want it.
And it drove her to tears. But it didn't, yeah, and that's the hormones, and that's what it didn't prepare me for. So there was a lot of learning on that, and like, there's so many more examples of you crying. My brother once, he bought I'll go into that another time, but I'll do it now. Bun it, man. He brought her chocolate. He brought me chocolate and our other friend just chocolate, and was like, I didn't want to get you a chocolate, Asha, because I wasn't sure because you're pregnant. Like, it's a very man thing to do, just assume, like, and he's like, I don't know, so I just didn't do it. And he came home and he's like, I didn't get you a chocolate bar, and then she was just like, you didn't get me a chocolate bar. And she started crying, and I was thinking, by this time I was a pro. I know what was happening, but they didn't. So I was just like watching them feel really so awkward. And I was just like, come on, stop crying, like fix up, man. Come on, just remember it's hormones, get over it. Like, it's just chocolate, like, come on, it's not that deep. But he was like, I'll go, I swear, I'll go back to the shop. I'll go to the shop right now. Whatever you want, I'll get it now.
He did. They just left. It was so awkward. They just left.
But we have loads of stories like that. But it got real. Like, I think months had passed, and then
we had our appointments, blood tests, scans.
and then I think for me, that's after a while had passed, like maybe month 6, 7. That's when I actually started dealing with the fact that I'm having a baby, and it was like a rush. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're gonna be a mum, and like, she's not even responsible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she can't even walk in a straight line. So, it really hit me that I was gonna be a dad, and I think it got really scary in that moment, because I think all of the feelings I had in that moment, I was supposed to feel when we first found out, but I didn't deal with. So it's like, imagine waiting for a bus that's just taking ages to come in London, and then 5 or 6 buses come like at the same time when you're not expecting it. That's what it was like all the questions. Have you got enough money in your bank account? Are you able to provide? Are you going to be able to look after the household? So many different things hit me, and I just had to kind of take a deep breath and be like, you know what, everything's going to be all right. Like, it's cool. And yeah, like, after I kind of calmed myself, I then started thinking about the process of the NHS and how I've been treated as a dad and how neglected I felt. And, you know, there was so many different experiences that, you know, just because of the interest of time, I won't go into. But, you know, time had passed again, and she's like, you know, the time's it's about to happen, like, you know, it's about to get real. And, you know, she's having her Braxton Hicks contractions. And I remember this night vivid, clear as day. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was having a sleep, or trying to sleep. But, you know, someone who was very slim at the time was turning in the bed, and, you know, I kept on feeling that. And, like, you know, anyways, 3 o'clock in the morning, she wakes me up screaming, because she's in pain, and she's like in excruciating pain that I had not experienced before. So for me, I'm like, we've done our drills, I've got the bags ready, but I was like panicking. Like, I didn't know I was panicking, but I was just like, yo, like, I'm panicking. I was just like, I called her mum, I was just like, yeah, I think it's happening. Like, I'm gonna, it's all right, it's fine, you know? Like, your voice, the pictures were all wrong. I was like, yeah, it's all right, you know? Yeah, I do it. And then I remember hanging up, and then I think, okay, so she can't even move properly, and we need to get to the hospital. I call the hospital, they're like, come down. So I start putting on her clothes. I get her some sweatpants and a sweat jumper. I'm not even American. Like, some jogging bottoms, a jumper, a tracksuit. Yeah, perfect. And then I think, oh yeah, okay, cool. Let me give her my socks, because, you know, someone doesn't own their own socks. I always find my socks in her shoes. Anyway, that's not the point. So I put on my clean, fresh, slick socks, and then she goes, I think I'm going to be sick. I'm like, what? Don't say that. Wait, 1 second. Wait. I quickly run out of the room. As soon as I get to the door, when I come back into the room, so she's puking everywhere, and it's all pink, and because of what she was drinking earlier. And I was thinking, oh my gosh. And what made it worse? It was on the new carpet. Carpet was about 3-4 weeks old, and she's puking everywhere.
And it was on the wall.
It was on the wall. It was on the wardrobe. It was on the chest of drawers. It was horrible. Like, it was filth. And I was just like, oh.
And I was like steps away from the bathroom, because you have an ensuite, and I just couldn't make it.
She couldn't make it to the toilet. I was thinking, oh, there's flooring in the toilet, and like, I was like, I want to clean this up, but I can't. I have to take you to the hospital. And I have to change your clothes now as well, because you vomited on it. So then I'm like, man, what do I do? So I get some socks, I put the socks on her, I go and, like, you know, change her again at the same time. And anyway, I put on the clothes. We go to the hospital, and we're like, yeah, this is it. No, nothing happened.
False alarm.
So she just vomited all over the carpet for no reason. There's no actual reason for your puking all over the new carpet. And what was hard about that was that I got back home. It was about 4:30 in the morning, and I was just like, "You can go to bed, babe. It's all right. I've got to clean the vomit. And she was just like, "Are you sure?" And like she was gonna help me. Like I was gonna say to her after she was screaming down the house, say, "Yeah, get on all fours and do it, please. Clean up your mess." So I was like, "No, go sleep in the living room. It's fine." And I just remember just on my knees scooping it all. Oh man, I don't want to go back there. Sometimes I wake up at night because of it, and I'm like,
and I could hear him in the bedroom go.
No, that was horrible, man. If there's one, I hate sick. I hate it. So I'm just like, oh, I couldn't. Anyway, I got it done. In case you're interested, a pretty good job. I'm pretty sure I don't walk on that part of the carpet still.
You can't
just
tell where it was.
You can't. I can.
You can't tell.
I know it's still vivid in my mind, but yeah, like that happened, and then like, but it did help us get a bit more prepared.
Yeah.
For the real thing, because
we were very prepared because we knew what to expect.
Yeah.
We knew what car park to park in. We knew where to go. We knew what number to call.
Yeah.
We knew that we should time the contractions. We knew everything. And because I knew what the fake contractions felt like, I knew that if I was to ever feel them again, they had to be stronger than that.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew how to differentiate because I've never been pregnant before. So I thought the Braxton Hicks was the real deal.
Yeah. No, 100%. But the thing is, what I was gonna say was, with us, it was a situation where we had, obviously it's the first time having a baby. So we're in a position where now we have to just, I don't know, figure it out and kind of go off on our own. Like, you know, we're not staying in London with our family, so there was not much guidance. So we really was going to do that whole run by ourselves. So all the pain she was feeling, like she mentioned, like these Braxton Hicks contractions and like pelvic floor like challenges because the baby was putting a lot of pressure there, like it was new to us, right? So we didn't know how to deal with it. But again, as time progressed, we got a little bit more confident. We had our birthing plan. We knew how we wanted to be on the day, how she wanted me to behave in the room, how she wanted me to behave with her throughout the whole kind of birthing process. But it just became apparent to me that there is so much pressure that is put on women.
So much. Like,
you know, have a natural birth, you know, don't take an epidural. I had so many people... have an epidural, whatever. Like, I had so many people come up to me and be like, bro, like, don't take the epidural. Don't take the epidural. Back will stop working. Like, there's a conspiracy. It's all this 5G stuff, and like it was just is that sort of level conspiracy. Like people were like, oh, they're gonna. The day before she was due, some guy came up to me and was just like, are you gonna take pethidine? I was just like, first of all, I'm still trying to clue myself up on what pethidine actually is. Like, it helps relaxes the muscles so that, you know, she can give birth. But like, he's like, don't do it because it makes the baby high. It makes the baby come out and they're gonna be drowsy. So I'm thinking, nah, this is just not right. So I just had to clue myself up on what pethidine is. But I had so many guys that were just like putting pressure on how we should have our birth, and so many other women who don't have kids saying, oh yeah, you know, don't do this and don't do that, and like just really dictating to her how she should give birth. And I felt like that was so wrong, because it was like, none of you are gonna push out the baby, so what gives you the right to speak on what she should do? You're not feeling the pain that she's feeling. I'm not feeling the pain that she's feeling. So I made an agreement with her. I was like, look, if you want an epidural, if you want pethidine, if you want these things, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you need it, it's your body. You know yourself. Like, don't break your back just so that you can say at the end of the journey, I didn't take pethidine. I didn't take I didn't have an epidural. Like, don't put yourself out You know what I mean? Just cutting off your nose to spite your face. Yeah. Like, it's your journey. And that's the thing. Like, your coming to parenthood is its own unique journey. Like, be it adoption, be it a surrogacy, be it, you know, IVF, a C-section, whatever it may be, it's your unique journey. And you can't allow other people's projections onto your kind of journey to influence how you feel. Like, do your very best to make sure you stay strong-willed with your partner, or even if you're by yourself, to be like, I'm gonna make a decision and it's gonna be the right decision for me.
It's your body.
It's your body. It's your body. So we had a plan.
Yeah. So I had my option one. I want to have a water birth. Whenever I was in pain, when I was pregnant, I would have a bath and everything would be okay. So I said, you know, water seems to be a really nice natural healer for me. I'll have a water birth, and that's that. Option two, if things are moving along slowly, I can't really take the pain, give me pethidine. I'll have the injection and water birth, and everything should be okay. Option three, if I'm at my wit's end and I'm in excruciating pain, give me the epidural. I know you can't have an epidural and have a water birth, so I'd be happy to go on dry land, put it in my back, let's get the show on the road. And option four, if I feel like I'm gonna die, cut me open, take this thing out, give me a C-section. So all 4 steps he was aware of, and he knew that before we moved on to the next step. So just check with me, you know, are you sure? You know, are you sure you can't hold out? You've gone this far. And because he knew the plan and I knew the plan, I knew I could trust him. If it came and I was completely out of it, I know that he knows the steps I want to take, and he would make sure that I would get what I wanted.
Yeah. And I think, you know, credit to you as well. You handled the whole birthing experience. It was nuts. There's a new, like, it's so cliche when dads say, oh, I've got a newfound respect for women and mother, but like, it's so real. Like, I don't know how you guys, first of all, you completely forget the fact that you guys have your monthly cycles, and that happens for months on end and years, because it's so normalized that you forget that actually you guys are pretty tough to kind of handle that. But then you was given an impossible task. Like, she was, you know, we didn't sleep like for 24 hours before we went into the labor room, and then she was in labor for 48 hours. She was having contractions for that long, rather. And, you know, imagine like being in the most excruciating pain, and it's coming in waves between every 4 to 6 minutes, and this is happening constantly, and it's just tearing her apart. Like, as a dad, I was like, I can't even take any of this pain away from you. I want to. Yeah, you're helpless, and you're just seeing your partner flip. Like, you're like, oh, give me your hand. I'll take some of this away from, but you can't. Like, there's no Captain America business there. So you just kind of have to let nature take its course, but also offer the support that she wants, which is why we made those plans and why we had those conversations.
And he was really good. Like, when I was in labor, he would massage my shoulders. He'll play some nice jazz music. He would make jokes. He'll make me concentrate on my breathing. You know, he was like my own personal doula. Even the midwives and my mum and the people in the room, they're like, you're amazing, you know. Most dads pass out, or they go for a walk, or they go for a fag because they can't take the stress. But he was there every step of the way.
Don't get it twisted. She did drag me up. Like, let's not forget there's a moment she dragged me, and she's just like, oh. And this is where I knew she was mad. This is where I knew I married someone who has absolutely lost it. There's a screw loose in there. She was feeling a pain, going through the contractions, going. Meanwhile, all the other rooms, women are screaming. I'm pretty sure there was a man screaming down the hall. I don't know what was going on, but she was just going, one of the contractions, and then she went, and then she looked me dead in my soul. She was like, oh boy, try it. Try me. This don't even hurt. She's like, I don't feel this. This isn't pain. She's like, don't you mess up. See what's gonna happen to you. Give me another contraction. She looked like one of those people that are like, you know, people that get into fights and then they just start going, come on then. It was like that, and I was so scared. Like, she looked at me in my soul, and I was like, right, I can't mess this up. Like, I ain't gonna screw up. Don't worry. Like, I'm on your side. I was like, don't worry. But she's like, you better be on my side. And that's when I knew, yeah, she's lost it. But she did all of that hard work. Like, it's such an impossible task. And then after all that time, like, she was so exhausted, by the way, we had to have the pethidine because, you know, oxytocin is a hormone that makes, you know, like, everything flow and allow the baby to come. But when you're exhausted, your body starts fighting it, and the hormones can't flow properly, and the baby won't come. So it was a thing where we had to give it to her, and they were asking her to try and fall asleep between contractions. That's how exhausted she was. And then she after the 36 hour or whatever, however many, we lost track of time, what day it was, a bit like lockdown.
Yeah,
she finally gave birth to Michael, and that moment was so amazing. You'll see that in a minute, but it was the most incredible thing, because I remember holding him, because they put him on my lap, and I was just like, I will do whatever you want me to do. Like, if you go to nursery and if someone pushes you at nursery, I'll kick a baby for you. Like, just I won't. At the time, I was pretty certain I would, like, but like, I would do whatever you want me to do. It's that feeling of protection, like, that you're mine. Like, I will do whatever you want, son. Like, but then it also kind of the reality hit me that there's two people in this procedure. Like, it's very easy to just in that moment focus on the baby. Is the baby okay? Does the baby have 10 fingers, 10 toes? Is the baby breathing? Is the baby okay? Is the baby healthy? What is it? But actually, you immediately look at your partner and you think, is she okay?
I was not okay. I could just see blood everywhere. It was like an exorcism in there. And to make things worse, my mum had turned into stone and her eyes were glazed over. My mum is amazing. She always has something to say. She was speechless. My husband, he was close to my face like this, you know, smiling. You know, you did a really good job. You know, stay calm. Everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, he's overcompensating for something. Like, something's wrong. I could hear the midwife or my brother, and I could hear that my sister was crying in the corridor. I'm like, why is there so much commotion, and why is there so many people in my room? What is going on? Yeah,
like, she lost a lot of blood. So there was a lot of blood on the floor. She lost like 1.3 liters. She, as you can see, she's a Slim Jim, so that's a lot of blood. And you know, the midwives and doctors were whispering and moving around, and I was just like, hey, you need to give us clarity. We need to know what's happening, basically. So then they told us that she's lost a lot of blood. She's had a 3rd-degree tear. And we're going to have to basically operate now to avoid any serious damage or any serious injury to her. So I had to kind of look after Michael in the meantime, while they took her into theatre, because I wasn't allowed there. But yeah, they patched her up. She came out high. She was like delirious, still exhausted. But yeah, she came out, and like, then they had to give her 2 packs of blood.
Yeah, blood transfusion.
Because you had to have a blood transfusion. So she had went through all of that, and it was just such an accomplishment. But it also felt like that was just the beginning of our journey. That was just the start, because it's very easy to get to that climax and think, oh, it's done now. Now we can walk away and go home. We've worked and we've rehearsed for 9 months, and it's done. 10 months and it's done now. But actually, that was just the very beginning. Then we had to start dealing with the other pressures that people put on us. So, oh, make sure you breastfeed like this. You have to do it like this. And I always say this, like, if you have 8 excellent mothers, I can get 8 of my aunties, she can get 8 of her excellent mothers who raise their kids brilliantly. If I ask them for one piece of advice, I will get 8 conflicting pieces of advice from each one of them. So it's like, I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. Like, that's not it. Like, we had to kind of come to our own conclusions, and we agreed that we had to kind of take a firm stance on how we were gonna do things. Because even like with the breastfeeding thing, I didn't understand that, because I was just like, when's the last time you've ever seen someone acting like an idiot and gone, oh yeah, you've not been breastfed, something's wrong, you know? You've defo missed out on the golden nectar, like you haven't had it. Or when was the last time you've lined up billionaires and said, I bet you only learned how to walk when you was 2 years old? Like, it doesn't happen. So why do they put so much pressure on these trivial things? I'm not saying that breast milk doesn't matter. Yeah, 100%. But like,
it's each their own, whatever works for the mum and baby.
Just take away the pressure so that like nature can actually take its course. And you know, we welcome the feedback, but like there were loads of times where we had to kind of
learn
and just say, this is how we're gonna do it. We appreciate your advice, but this is how we're gonna do it. And sometimes we are gonna offend people, and you are gonna offend people, but that's okay, because ultimately you have to remember that it's your child, it's your life,
it's your journey.
It's your journey. So back in 1992, when my mum used to put me on my belly and or on her back, wrapped around her like while she's working, it was great for you, it worked, and I came out fine. But I'm not going to do that with my son, because this is how I want to do it with my son. That's not discrediting what you've done, but this is how I want to do things. So it's been a whirlwind. There's so much more that we could talk about, but we'll
tell
keep
the
it
story about when I came out of theatre.
What?
And you guys gave me my
She came out because I said she came out high in it. She's delirious after the patchwork, and brought the baby out. They brought the baby out to her, put him next to her, and she was just like, "Oh, what's this?" And it was just like, "It's your baby. It's your baby." She's like, "A baby?" I was thinking, where have you been these last 10 months, Ashana? Like, you just forgotten all about it. Is that how it works? But like, so that was funny. But there was so many different things that we can go into.
So many lovely memories.
But we'll play the video at the end. Hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.